What if I told you that right now, at this very second, you are already reliving the same day over and over again, you just don't remember it? Welcome to What If Horizons, the podcast that takes your wildest hypotheticals and drags them kicking and screaming into the light of day. Today, we're tackling a question that sounds poetic until you really think about it. What if you could relive one day of your life forever? Now, before you start imagining your perfect day, sunshine, laughter, maybe that one time you didn't embarrass yourself in public, let's pause. Because eternity is a long time. Like, I should have brought a book, long. Think about it. Even the best day has its flaws. That coffee you love, after the 1,000th sip, it's just hot bean water. That perfect sunset, eventually, you'll start noticing the pixels. And let's not even talk about the people. Your favorite person's laugh, adorable at first. By year 5, you'll be praying for a mute button. But here's the real kicker. What if you didn't get to choose the day? Imagine being stuck reliving the most average Tuesday of your life. You wake up, stub your toe on the bed frame, spill your cereal, and get stuck in traffic behind a truck carrying live chickens. Forever. Suddenly, eternity feels less like a blessing and more like a glitch in the matrix. And that's just the beginning. Because if you could relive a day, would you even realize it? Or would you just wake up each morning, thinking, deja vu again? Maybe you've already lived this exact moment a million times. Maybe you're doing it right now. Should we take a break so you can scream into a pillow? No. Good. Because we're just getting started. Let's say you do get to pick your perfect day to relive. No random Tuesdays with expired milk in the fridge. You'd choose something spectacular, right? Maybe your wedding day, or that vacation where you didn't check work emails once. But here's the catch. Even paradise gets old. Take your dream vacation, for example. The first 100 times, you're sipping coconut water on the beach, feeling like the protagonist of a very relaxed movie. By the 1,000th loop, you're side-eyeing the same palm tree, mentally rewriting its backstory out of sheer boredom. Ah yes, tree number 12. Still standing there, still judging me, and the people, oh, the people, that charming bartender who made your drinks with a flourish. After a few centuries, you'll have memorized his entire script. Ah, the usual for the lady. Yes, Greg, it's always the usual, it's eternity. Worse yet, what if you pick a day that seems perfect, but has one tiny, unfixable flaw? Like that time you won an award, but had a popcorn kernel stuck in your teeth the whole evening. Now imagine reliving that forever. You'd give anything to reach into the past and hand yourself a toothpick. But no, destiny says you must suffer. Even love isn't safe. That first kiss, magical. The 1,000th, you start noticing your partner's weird breathing pattern. The 1,000th, you're a Wikipedia page of their habits, and there's no new updates. So maybe the real question isn't which day you'd relive, but whether you'd survive it with your sanity intact. Now let's talk about the science of this nightmare scenario. Time loops aren't just for movies and existential dread. Physics actually has some opinions here. Einstein's theory of relativity suggests time is more like a river than a straight line, which means under the right conditions, you could theoretically get stuck in an eddy of eternity. Imagine waking up each morning to the same physics exam you failed in college. At first you panic, then you start experimenting. By the 30th attempt you've become a quantum mechanics expert just to break the cycle. By the 300th you're deliberately failing to see what happens. The professor's disappointed face becomes your personal hell. The real terror comes when you consider memory. If you remember each repetition, you'll slowly go mad. If you don't, are you even really you anymore? You might be stuck in an endless loop of making the same mistakes, like some cosmic version of forgetting why you walked into the kitchen. Food presents another problem. That perfect slice of birthday cake you want to relive. After 50 loops you'll never want to see frosting again. Your favorite song playing in the background. By repetition 500 it's just noise. Even your most comfortable pajamas will start to feel like a prison uniform. The cruelest twist, you'd probably pick a day where you were slightly hungover. Now that's eternal punishment. Let's get philosophical for a moment. If you relive the same day forever, does your life still have meaning? On one hand, you could argue that perfect happiness is its own purpose. On the other hand, you're essentially a hamster on a wheel made of your own memories. Think about the little things you'd miss. No more seasons changing. just eternal summer or endless winter, depending on your poor choice. No more personal growth, you're frozen in time like a bug in amber. Even your relationships would stagnate. That inside joke with your best friend. After a few thousand repetitions, it's not so funny anymore. Worse yet, you'd become predictable. That charming quirk of yours. After seeing it on loop, people might start finding it annoying. Your signature dance move, more like a glitch in the system. You'd be trapped in your own personal brand, unable to evolve or change. And let's not forget about technology. Pick a day in the 90s and you're stuck with dial-up internet forever. Choose a day in the future and you might be dealing with malfunctioning robot butlers. There's no winning here. Perhaps the only way to maintain sanity would be to convince yourself it's all a dream. But then what's the point of reliving anything at all? Now let's consider the practical logistics of eternal repetition. You'd think infinite time means infinite possibilities, but reality is far more limiting. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and every choice has a fixed set of outcomes. Take something as simple as breakfast. The first 100 mornings, you might experiment. Pancakes, eggs, maybe a smoothie that looked better on Instagram than it tasted. But eventually, you'd run out of options. The cafe down the street only has 6 menu items, and you've memorized them all. Even your attempts to spice things up would backfire. Try stealing a bite of your neighbor's toast. Congrats, now you're the weirdo who gets arrested every morning for breakfast theft. Conversations would become scripted performances. You'd know every word your friends would say before they said it. At first, you could play the prophet, finishing their sentences with eerie accuracy. After a while, you'd just seem like a terrible listener. And forget about surprises. No new gossip, no unexpected news, just the same stories recycled like a bad sitcom rerun. Even your attempts to break the routine would become routine. Skip work to go to the beach. Done it. Drive to the next town over. Welcome to Groundhog Day, the road trip edition. The universe has a way of funneling you back to the same outcomes, like a cosmic version of your phone's autocomplete, predictable, slightly annoying, and impossible to outsmart. The truly terrifying part, you'd become a prisoner of your own habits. That nervous tick you've always had. Now it's a permanent fixture, as unavoidable as sunrise. The way you mispronounce that one word. Eternally embarrassing. You'd be stuck with every unflattering version of yourself, with no chance for redemption or growth. So much for infinite possibilities. Turns out, eternity is just you, your worst habits, and a world that refuses to change. Let's talk about relationships in this endless loop. At first glance, it might seem romantic to relive a day with someone you love, forever young, forever happy. But dig a little deeper, and the cracks start to show. Take your significant other, for example. That adorable way they mispronounce, espresso. Cute the first 100 times. By the 1,000th, you're debating whether it's worth correcting them just to break the monotony. Their little quirks, once endearing, become grating. The way they chew, the way they laugh, the way they always leave one sock on the floor, it's all amplified by eternity. And what about the big moments? That heartfelt conversation you had. After reliving it enough times, it loses its magic. You start anticipating every word, every pause, every gesture. It becomes less about connection and more about reciting lines in a play where you already know the ending. Even worse, you'd never experience growth together. Relationships thrive on change, on shared experiences that shape who you are as a couple. But in a time loop, you're frozen in a single snapshot. No anniversaries, no milestones, just the same day on repeat. You'd be stuck in a relationship that can't evolve, like a tree that never grows new branches. And let's not forget the awkward moments. That time you tripped in front of your crush. Imagine reliving that humiliation every single day. Or worse, the day you had a fight with someone you care about. Now you're stuck in an endless cycle of unresolved tension, with no chance to make amends or move on. So much for eternal love. Turns out, even the best relationships can't survive the crushing weight of forever. Now let's explore the psychological toll of reliving the same day forever. At first, it might feel like a gift, a chance to perfect your routine, to master every moment. But over time, the weight of repetition would crush even the strongest mind. Imagine waking up every morning to the same alarm clock. That catchy tune you once loved. After a few thousand repetitions, it's a torture device. You'd start to dread the sound, even in your dreams. And the mornings themselves, they'd blur into one endless stretch of déjà vu. Your sense of time would warp. Days would lose their meaning when they all feel the same. You'd stop planning for the future because, well, there isn't one. Goals and dreams would become pointless when every day is a carbon copy of the last. You'd be stuck in a perpetual present, with no past to learn from and no future to look forward to. Even your emotions would flatline. That joy you felt the first time you relived your perfect day. It would fade, replaced by a numb monotony. Anger, sadness, excitement, they'd all lose their edge when you felt them a million times before. You'd become a shell of yourself, going through the motions without truly feeling anything. And then there's the isolation. No one else would understand what you're going through. To them, it's just another day. To you, it's a prison sentence. You'd feel disconnected from the world, trapped in a reality no one else can see. The worst part, you'd start to question your own sanity. Are you really stuck in a time loop, or are you just imagining it? The line between reality and delusion would blur, leaving you adrift in a sea of uncertainty. So much for mastering eternity. Turns out, the human mind wasn't built for forever. The most terrifying realization comes when you understand the permanence of your choice. Unlike a bad haircut or regrettable tattoo, there's no undo button for eternity. You can't just resign from this infinite shift or call in sick to existence. Think about all the things you'd miss by freezing your timeline. Your favorite band's next album, never coming. That movie sequel you've waited years for, stuck in development hell outside your temporal bubble. Your annoying cousin growing up and finally becoming interesting. Not in this reality. You'd become the ultimate outsider watching civilization pass you by. People would age while you remain unchanged, like finding yourself stuck in a family photo where you're always the awkward teenager. Future breakthroughs in medicine, technology, space exploration, irrelevant to your Groundhog Day existence. Even worse, your knowledge would become increasingly obsolete. Try explaining cryptocurrency to someone in your 1950s time loop. Or worse, being stuck with 2016 internet culture forever. Some fads deserve to fade away completely. And let's not forget the simple pleasure of anticipation. The countdown to birthdays, holidays, vacations, all gone. Your calendar becomes meaningless when every morning resets its pages. The excitement of, what's next, is replaced by the grim certainty of, exactly the same. But perhaps the most tragic loss would be closure. Unfinished arguments remain unfinished. Last words stay last words forever. The loose ends of life never get tied up. They just dangle in perpetuity like a bad TV show cancelled mid-season. This isn't living forever, it's being preserved in emotional formaldehyde. At least with mortal existence, when you make a mistake, time marches forward and dilutes the embarrassment. In a time loop, your worst moments play on infinite repeat in the theater of your mind. So is there any way to make eternity bearable? You could try turning your endless day into a personal laboratory. Master every skill, memorize every fact, become the ultimate version of yourself. But here's the catch. Even genius gets boring when you have no one to share it with. Imagine becoming fluent in every language, only to realize the people around you still only speak the same 3 phrases. You could solve advanced physics problems in your head, but the newspaper on the kitchen table will always show yesterday's headlines. Knowledge without progress is just a fancy way of talking to yourself. You might try rebellion, breaking every rule, living without consequences. Crash your car, it's fixed tomorrow. Rob a bank, the money resets with the sunrise. But chaos loses its thrill when there's no real risk. Eventually, you'd miss the weight of responsibility, the satisfaction of earning something that lasts longer than 24 hours. The real tragedy, you'd forget what novelty feels like. That first sip of coffee in the morning, the unexpected compliment from a stranger, the joy of discovering something new, these small sparks that make life vibrant would fade into the background. You'd walk through a world of wonders and see only patterns you've witnessed a million times before. In the end, the greatest prison isn't the repetition, it's the loneliness of being the only one who remembers. You could scream the truth into the void every day, but the void would just reset along with everything else. So what's the takeaway from this existential roller coaster? Maybe the beauty of life isn't in reliving the perfect day, but in the imperfection of moving forward. It's the messy, unpredictable, sometimes frustrating nature of time that makes it worth living. Sure, we all have days we'd love to revisit. moments of joy, triumph, or connection that we wish could last forever. But even those moments gain their meaning from their fleetingness. The fact that they're temporary is what makes them precious. Instead of wishing for eternity, maybe we should focus on making the most of the time we have. Take that trip, have that conversation, try that thing you've been putting off. Because the real tragedy isn't missing out on reliving a day. It's missing out on living at all. And if this thought experiment has taught us anything, it's that forever is overrated. One day, one life, one chance to make it count. That's enough. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the what-ifs. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to What If Horizons for more mind-bending explorations. Until next time, keep questioning, keep dreaming, and most importantly, keep moving forward.